I've talked to a lot of people today. You and I spoke earlier. And I do this because I get smarter with every conversation I have, so I'm very blessed in that regard. But I got to tell you, like, there's this consistent thematic. And you know, when I was on the buy side of the world, it was if something didn't work, media pointed the finger at creative, or creative pointed the finger at media. And now that I'm on the sell side of the world, I find that the divisiveness is a little bit bigger, where it's, you know, buyers saying sellers aren't ready and sellers saying buyers aren't ready when we talk about this future of targeted television. I'm going to use the collective term targeted because to me that's advanced, but more specifically addressable with you. So I've heard today from sellers that buyers aren't ready. I've heard today from sellers that sellers aren't ready. And I've heard from buyers that buyers aren't ready, and the opposite as well. You're enabling a one audience, one price, targeted television, targeted video proposition.
We're using a lot of data. Yep.
So where's the truth lie in that?
Yeah, look, I think everyone is trying to get an edge. And you know, when you hear people talk about advanced TV from the sell side, they're wanting to use data to find inventory that surfaces for a targeted audience to actually make it more valuable. And then you hear from the buy side saying, well, you know, I want to use data to find, think of it as an arbitrage opportunity, opportunities of inventory that the sell side does not understand is as valuable as it is, but I've got some, you know, some inside or proprietary data that I'm using to find those opportunities. So I think everybody is kind of moving along, but everybody's trying to get an edge, and people are using data as a mechanism or an edge to try to get a competitive advantage, whether you're a buyer or a seller.
So is it really anything more than discretionary inventory or discretionary spend that is, let's see what happens and throwing stuff up against a wall to see what sticks?
No, I don't think it. No, I don't. It's not discretionary. If you're an agency or a marketer and using a full set of TV viewership data matched to your first-party data, matched to another data set, you're using that and applying it to all of your media strategies. So it's not just, oh, we're going to allocate one portion of inventory that's going to be this route. I mean, for the sellers, there may be a little bit of risk aversion to say, oh, what of the inventory are we then going to promote as data-driven, because we want to sort of control how much gets used and control the messaging and control what data gets put against it. But if you're a buyer, you can apply it to everything.
So let's go down the rabbit hole of a word that, you know, we sort of used to use a lot and has become, interestingly enough, less common, but convergence. And let's just say one audience, one price for video. That's enabled by data. I mean, that requires fluidity of investment, fluidity of inventory, the ability to productize and package what you're selling with ease and to be adaptive and agile. Where are we in regards to the spectrum of that being, you know, sort of a place of ease for us?
There's a lot of technology, there are a lot of systems, there are a lot of legacy systems that have to be changed and so forth. I don't know that we need to have one price for video, because look, there is different media purchased for different purposes. And I'm going to keep coming back to the story, which is the linkage between all of it then is around the data. And where we have gotten so much better, that's driving, I guess I'll use the word convergence, that's driving all this conversion is by using the data to link it together. And I'll give you, a couple of examples. We are, of course, out in market with all of the data that we have available, TiVo's set-top box data, plus a broader set of set-top box data, making it very easy to access. And when we are talking to agencies about applying the data, the people who seem to be the most interested at this moment in time are the digital folks. Because for the first time, they don't view TV as this mysterious media vehicle, which has only been posted or measured or targeted using just a traditional Nielsen panel. They now can get all these incredible insights around the matching of data from TV now to their digital campaigns, whether that be social, whether it be mobile, connected TV. And through all of this linkages, they can now have this, what I'll call a converged experience, or a converged measurement, or a converged targeting, and truly have all these different media vehicles working holistically, and just understanding in concert about how they work together.
So
and just a great example is the impact of television on all other parts of the media ecosystem has only been understood historically based on sort of a correlation. Now we can deterministically match it and understand it.
So if your role in the ecosystem is enablement, right? Whether it's data or systems, et cetera, specifically to enable addressable television, do you carry a burden of having to sort of straddle that chasm between where we've been and where we're trying to get to? Because what I'm hearing is digital folks, they do this every day, right? Let's forget about that they still have to talk to multiple different people, and there's not necessarily one place they can go, a marketplace per se. But I'm talking about getting traditional television buyers that will day over day put their money where their mouth is and buy TV. How do we shepherd that process of getting reach and frequency to yogurt eating moms in Minnesota that are in the market for a minivan? Like, how do we get them there? Is it a lack of tools? Is it
No, they're doing it today. I mean, they're doing it, those agencies and those marketers are doing that today. They're using the data of yogurt eating moms to find where that inventory is, both across television and across.
But it's typically a separate team, right? That's what I'm saying.
No, it's actually coming. It is now coming together much more than it has been in the past.
So tell me about that.
Right.
If you're seeing that.
Yeah. So we're seeing it, especially on the measurement and the analytics side. We're seeing. I think that the digital teams within agencies are taking a leadership role in this world because they've lived in this. They've lived in all of this data analysis and understanding attribution and understanding media mix modeling within their world, and they've been doing it very quickly. Now, for the first time, they've got access to what's been going on over in the TV world and can understand the influence of what's happening in TV on their digital campaigns and then start to influence it.
So do you see, I mean, in a future state, right, ideally, we have feedback loops, whether we call it attribution or whatever, and there's true fluidity in spend. Where are we on that sort of, that spectrum of nascency versus reticence?
So it depends on the speed with which you can transact on a different types of media, and that will always be different. So, we still have the upfronts. We still have a longer purchase cycle within linear television compared to digital connected TV, what have you. So the fluidity comes about by which media are that have to have baseload capacity, and then also what are your, now sort of used from another industry, sort of peaker capacity. And then how do you actually balance all that together and instill the linkages through the data?
So, I mean, our job obviously as champions of our industry is to always look at the glass as half full. Yeah. So I'm going to empty it out just for a second.
You sound like you're a little already emptied out, but
no, I'm all I like a challenge. So what's holding us back? Because we don't talk about that. That's one of the things that, I mean, that's why I get my butt up every day out of bed, is because I like to solve big problems. And I think we have problems to solve. So I would like to hear, in your unique perspective of the market, especially the legacy of the company with whom you work, what are the problems that remain? What's the hurdles in our path to getting there faster?
We'll always talk about education. We'll talk about the agency compensation model, which I think is a hurdle to change, where in an ideal world, we would always be spending exactly where the incremental return is always improving. I think there's a lot of legacy in terms of just how the industry is structured that has to change. But there will be improvements of that as we start to have people who are growing up in the industry who are not tied to sort of the way that things were always done. And that's why I give this example about the digital analytics folks who don't sort of care about the constraints that were put in the past that I think are driving a lot of the innovation of the future.
Okay.
And so it is largely an evolution of skill sets that will continue to evolve and don't care about sort of how things used to be done in the past.
Okay. So what I heard in your first statement is we need a data dictionary. We need education.
Well, we need continued data transparency. I mean, look, everybody is top of mind about data with GDPR and privacy and so forth. And the optimistic element here is that with all of the headlines that have been coming about in the past, it is causing us to create better data products with better data transparency, better data efficacy, better scrutiny, and ultimately that will make the industry much better in terms of how we use data.
Awesome. Thanks, Walt.